All right, and we are live on YouTube. Finally, Miss Miller, we are live on YouTube.
All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
Archangel Michael.
Thank you, everybody who came through to help. Oh, and shoot. We are live. Wait a second. Jack, shut up over there. All right. Now. Let's just not nitpick. Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and those who have yet to make up their minds. I am your host, JustJack.com, coming with a very special live today. Well, we're live on YouTube, that's special, but my friend, Pam Miller. Say hi to the crew, Pam Miller. Miss Miller, if you're nasty. Hanging out with my friends during the quarantine, and we've been having some cool conversations. And Pam is one of my friends, and I said, want to get on live with me? She said yes, and so I said, let's do it. So let's start this show, shall we, Miss Miller?
I'm ready.
Let's get this show on the road. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
How do we know?
Which beginning?
Ooh, now you want to go serious, huh? You want to go. How about the beginning of when we reconnected at the church house?
In this lifetime. Okay.
In this lifetime.
Okay.
How are we friends?
Well, there was someone sitting next to me at the church, and he said, oh my God, have you met Jack yet? You have to meet Jack. You'll love Jack. You have to meet him. And I was like, okay. So he brought me over to you, and it was love at first sight. I saw you. I was like, what? Who is this goddess? And then I followed you around, and we talked a little bit, but it felt like I had known you for a long time.
It was kind of like that, the rekindling of a friendship, you know?
Yeah.
As many of us seem to be doing these days. You know, it's not uncommon for a person to tell me, I feel like I've known you my whole life. Yeah. And it's not uncommon for me to say, many lifetimes. Many lifetimes. Now, Mo was the guy.
Mo.
Right? Mo. Oh, I wonder how Mo is doing.
Me too.
Mo, if you're watching, sending you so much love, my friend.
Yes.
I remember that day. I was running around church. You were. As I usually do. Anybody who goes to church with me knows I don't sit still. I'm running around. And I remember I go, oh, come with me. Here, just come with me. We're going to go do some work. And I put you to work.
Yes.
But since then,
yeah,
we've grown to have a pretty cool friendship.
Yeah.
A really cool friendship. You got really active in the church. You started going to the psychic circles.
Yeah. Yeah. The psychic circles and the lunch committee for a while.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a really beautiful community of people, and you know, I don't think that I'd felt there's like everything gives off a frequency and a vibration, right? And so I think that I was very much in a place where I was seeking the vibration that was at the church, and so when I felt it, I was like, oh, I belong here. Like, this is the frequency that I'm trying to be at. And so you have to surround yourself with those vibrations that you want to become.
Most definitely. Were you looking for a new tribe?
No. Yeah, no, it's quite the story.
Wow, that's what we're here for.
Let's say that what happened was I was activated in the summer last summer. And I was activated in this way that like all of a sudden my only goal, and it wasn't even something that I was thinking I wanted to do, but all of a sudden my soul was just pulled toward ascension, and like my soul was like pulled toward ridding myself of any past conditioning and like past just any negative energy that like wasn't letting me be the most of service to myself and others. And it was actually a very, very excruciatingly painful experience. And in the midst of that, I started having like a psychic awakening and had been asking for help understanding what was happening to me, because it's very much like this. You know how people go out into the woods and they do a bunch of like drugs and then they like have these experiences, they hallucinate, they have a whole thing and then they come back. Well, I wish that that had been how it was, but for me, there was no drugs and there was no forest and there was just me being like, what the fuck? And one day, you know, my phone became possessed and began showing me like this journey that I was on, which is funny because several months prior to finding you guys and having this experience, I was pulling my own tarot cards and not really knowing if it was really like real or like if I was just making it up in my head, like, you know, just kind of confused, but it always seemed to make sense. And it always hit me like in the gut that it was like true what I was pulling. But there was a card that I had pulled that said, "Get ready to go on a sexual adventure." And I was like, what? And I was like, great. I had no idea. What it was talking about was shedding all of my stuff surrounding love and intimacy and abundance, just all of that. Okay. So in the midst of this, my phone, Archangel Michael came into my phone and was like, look at this video, look at this video, look at this video. And it was describing what was happening to me so detailed. Like I couldn't not believe that it was for me, because these were general readings on YouTube that I was drawn to. Anyway, eventually I come across a pamphlet about like this lady had written a free pamphlet for people experiencing a psychic awakening. And she was like, are you experiencing a psychic awakening? No need to be worried. Just here are some suggestions. And she was like, go online and join a psychic development class. And I was like, what? Like, that's even a thing? Like, what the hell? I was so confused. And yeah, and so I typed into Google that same day. I was like, all right, San Diego psychic development. I'm like, yeah, like something's actually gonna come up, okay? And then what I found was the church and Udoka's class starting the next day, 10 minutes from my house. So it's been that's why I found you guys, and that's where I met Kaya in that class and a bunch of people from church, and then I was invited to come to the Sunday thing, and they were like, oh, we need people to cook and like people to make music. And I was like, what? Like, this is my thing. Like I'm a musician, you know, I love cooking. But what I'm finding that I love anything within the creative flow. But anyway, that is how I found you guys.
So student first. You
Yeah.
came as a student. And
I came as
when the student is ready, the teacher comes. That kind of thing.
I came as a student really seeking information about claircognizance, because I had these huge claircognizant visions that didn't make sense, and I didn't understand why I was being shown certain things, and so I came kind of like trying to understand like what that was about. And what's funny is the lessons that like come along with that, with the lesson that comes along with acknowledging your claircognizance is accepting the divine plan and accepting divine timing, because if you can't, that can drive you crazy, because you're like, I was shown this thing far in the future, and like, but what am I supposed to do right now?
Mm-hmm.
So it really took me through this like tumble of having to live in the present moment and having to release all expectations and having to release everything that I thought I knew about how love works, about how the world works, and like really open myself up to this idea of like the world more as a like an energy versus like this like being so attached to like a physical reality, if that, you know, like what you see in front of you is not your source of stability, you know? So it's like, it's been this whole thing where I've had to readjust and realign all of my mental thought processes. And yeah.
Which comes with, what was the word that you used? Not the awakening, but the
activation.
Activation.
Yes.
Activation. The activation, understanding the beauty of the universe, but also understanding universal intelligence, you know, and then being psychic and having the honor of seeing everything.
Yeah.
But then also having the honor of patience,
mm-hmm.
and having the honor of trust in divine intelligence. You know, some people even say God has a plan, not
mm-hmm.
your plan. God has a plan, but then we go into we are God, which is a whole
right
topic.
And in addition to that, also trusting that like you can trust your plan that you created before you came here.
So many times I use Trenton Shine's words from his lecture when he says his mother told him, you signed up for this. When you enter the earth plane, you signed up for this.
Mm-hmm.
And so when anything happens, I signed up for this. And so it doesn't bother me anymore. Right. There comes some sort of respect for that universal intelligence.
Yeah.
When you do work with the clairs, I call them claircognizance, clairvoyance, whether you hear it, whether you see it, whether it's just clairsentient, you know, all knowing, you just know.
Yeah.
You just know.
Just know.
I don't
like,
know how.
Like how? Like how is this, like why do I know this so deeply in my soul, you know? But it's a reality. It's a reality that exists, and you're shown through the feeling for a split moment that this thing does exist, and it's not right here in this exact time space reality, but it is happening somewhere. And then you're like, whoa.
You sound like a pothead when you're sober.
I know.
Right? And you sound like a crazy drunk when you're sober.
Uh-huh.
Shoot, that's why I'm kind of like, roll one up and pour me a drink. I can't handle this stuff sober.
And you know, yeah. And the funny thing is that, yeah, like people, yeah, I'm sure that a lot of people listening to something like this would be like, what the fuck? You know? And I've heard some people talk about stuff like this before. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that even though it sounds kind of out there, the thing is that the whole thing is rooted in this like truth of love. And so when I wonder, am I crazy? I'm like, wait, this is coming from a place of love. So that has to be the truth.
Mm-hmm. And anytime it's anything other than a place of love, I know it's not for me.
Totally. It's not for me at all.
Not for me. If it's not love, it's fear, right?
Yep.
So fear, not for me. Bye, Felicia. Not doing it. Hate, anger, jealousy, frustration, not for me. Maybe something else. Not for me.
It's not part of our original frequency.
No, especially, you know, we get told You shouldn't be searching other things because our God is jealous. No, your God is jealous.
Yeah.
My God is love.
No.
My God
Yeah.
cannot be jealous. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't exist in my God's
Mm-hmm.
love language.
Yeah.
Jealousy is not a love language that my God speaks.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna
You
say?
know, I was on Netflix last night, and my brother recommended a show, and now like the name just escaped me, so I'll figure out what it is. But it's have you seen Rick and Morty, Jack?
I have.
Okay.
Rick and Morty.
So this is sort of like a Rick and Morty, another cartoon dealing with like a character traveling to different dimensions, different planets, different realities and stuff. But he was talking about, well, it's like him like having these weird adventures like while talking about these universal truths like what we're talking about right now, but like he's having these conversations while all kinds of crazy shit is going on around him, and that he's just like, I don't care, whatever, like we're just gonna keep talking. And last night I heard something. He said that the purpose of us coming here is to, you know, like shed all of our everything that's not of the frequency of love, right? And ascend so that we have the option, if we choose, to incarnate again in this lifetime, or not in this lifetime, to incarnate again in another lifetime. Or we don't have to, but once we reach a certain level of truth and ascension, our job is to spread that out and help others to reach their ascension. And that really like hit me, because I've been kind of in this like I've been kind of wondering like for a while like why I've gone through certain things, and like why I'm having this experience now where I'm finally feeling grateful. Like I'm feeling so grateful to be able to like be I want to say like these words that keep coming into my reality, because I don't know what exactly they mean, but I've heard light worker, I've heard starseed, I've heard shapeshifter, I've heard like all these words. But I'm so grateful that like I've gotten to see the examples of some other people, other light workers, other people who share this frequency of unconditional love. And that I realized just recently over the past couple days is like my only goal. Like that's all I need to do here, you know, whether it's through the music that I make or through the food that I make or through just sitting here talking to you. And someone told me today too that we all have a like a God, what is it? I forgot what it's called, but it's like a tone, a frequency that comes out when we talk. Like our voice is at a certain level where it doesn't really matter what we're saying. What matters is the frequency that's coming out and hitting people like with that love. And it just infuses them and makes them ascend too, and gets and fills them up with light and things like that. So yeah.
It's the power of unconditional love, because with unconditional love comes expansion.
Yes.
You can't, it's not like there's no limit. It's unconditional.
Yeah.
No conditions, there's no limit. And it's so simple, yet so difficult, especially in a world where there's so much hate, so much ugly. Mm-hmm. We have to constantly clear the lands and remember what we're really doing. I think of Reverend Penny's talk on Sunday, and Reverend Penny talked about the bodhisattvas in Buddhism. Mm-hmm. How the bodhisattvas, they reach nirvana and they have the option to stay in eternal bliss or go and help their fellow man, go and help compassionately. They have compassion is what they understand. They understand compassion, and then they go back. I've seen many people say, when I leave, I'm going to put DNR, do not reincarnate. And I think, maybe once upon a time I would have said that. But from where I stand now, let me come back again and again. Now I know why I keep coming back again and again. It makes sense to me. Because I don't think there is much difference between an enlightened being and the average human. I don't see a difference, you know. No, some are self-actualized, all that fun stuff. I get it. But the people I roll with and the people I hang around with, like you, light worker, star child, crystal guide, whatever they want to call themselves.
Right.
I know that I'm a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, that's what's great too, is that you and I are both part of many different communities where we just love to be of service.
Yeah.
And we love the creation of that service. Let's talk a little bit about what else you do in the universe. All right. So music.
Yes.
Teacher.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm going to piggyback off of the word creation that you just used.
Go ahead.
So, okay. So I think that creating is our way of like acknowledging that it's one way of connecting to source, because just like an apple tree grows apples, you know, the universe has souls that it's created. And since we're creations, when we create, it's an expression of us and reflecting like the whole bigger picture. But yeah, I am a music teacher. I'm a conductor. I teach band and orchestra, and currently teach mostly string orchestra at a middle school in Poway, California. And then I also teach a beginning band class at a charter school, where sometimes I feel like it's almost a little more like music therapy, because music like naturally transforms you, like when you have the right teacher for it. Anyway, yeah, what can I say about it? What do you want to know?
Music ministers to people. It really does.
What?
Music ministers to people.
Oh yeah.
And when I found out, not only were you a teacher, because I have a special place in my heart for teachers. Teachers are a gift from God himself. But music, when we think about universe, uni means one, verse means song. We're all part of one song. And I thought, how beautiful to come to the earth plane, just to be part of the creation in the young generation with what they are able to give in this one song of the universe.
Yeah, you know, yeah, so I used to go to this summer camp in Michigan before I became a teacher, and like we would perform there, and there was this huge outdoor amphitheater stage. I think it seats like, I don't even know, like 10,000 people or something. Like it's massive, this place. And yeah, and so it's this big outdoor theater, and there's these huge glass windows behind the stage that lead to a lake. And at the top of the amphitheater, it says, "Creating friendships through the universal language of the arts." And people from all over the world come to this camp. It's in Michigan. It's called Interlaken, which has its own meaning, that word. But yeah, music is also another thing that brings you back to yourself, and allows you to share yourself with others, especially in the group setting. Like I don't really enjoy teaching private lessons, to be honest with you, but I love teaching group classes, and I get some of my best channeling in there too. Yeah, group classes where I have to teach us all how to like work together, and like how we have to be vulnerable, and how we can't overpower, like one section can't be too loud and drown out another section that might have a really important part. And like this finding this beautiful like balance of the harmonies, so you can hear everything the way it's supposed to be, like the way it's supposed to come out, also requires an emotional balancing of the entire ensemble. And like, you can feel it. Like, I'm sure, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but like, I've heard performers before that are just like technically perfect. You know, they've like, obviously they're kind of like a machine. Like, they can move their fingers super fast. They've sat down with a metronome, which is the tick, tick, tick thing. And they've worked out their fingers to be able to do pretty much anything. But if it doesn't come from, if there's not like a feeling that comes along with it, it sounds very mechanical. And I've heard lots of people talk about that. And one thing that I just love about being with my students and my especially my current 8th graders, there's so much laughter, so much joy, struggles, like all this stuff, like we work through together, all this emotional stuff that we work through. By the time we get to a concert, like that song is not just that song anymore. It's a reflection of all the internal work we've done and a reflection of all of the details of the music that we've put together.
I love that you bring that up, because a little while ago you were talking about all the stuff that you had to go through to be in this performance, right?
Yes.
So that's exactly what it is. It's kind of like practicing for the performance.
You're so right.
Going through the struggle is relative. We're constantly, you know, practicing and tuning our instruments just for the performance. And that's a lot of people, I think this is where a lot of people mess up. They stay too focused in the practice. They stay too focused in the tuning of the instrument. They never perform. They're so focused on the performance that they forget to tune up their instrument, or even forget to practice, or forget the love that they started with.
Totally. Or even they forget that even though they tuned their instrument before, instruments need to be tuned again.
All the time.
And there's nothing wrong with that, with going back, revisiting, recalibrating, you know, literally retuning your instrument, because like so much as like going outside on a hot day can like, you know, change your strings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It moves everything. Dolly Parton even said, she even told Kenny Rogers, well, you have to practice. And I can see you haven't been practicing. We constantly have to be in practice with our craft, whatever the craft may be. How often, I think a good question to ask the public now is, what is their craft and how often are we practicing it? Because with what's going on right now, there's a lot of distractions, but also a lot of time for us to sit down and retune our instruments. Maybe dust off the music books, you know, the guides that will help us. Sit down and just play to play. Have you ever sat, well, yeah, I know you have, but have you ever sat down and just played the instrument and it was just a song to God? Like a psalm.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. And it feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
used to, when I was a kid, when I was first learning the trumpet, I would sit out on the grass in front of my house. I was like 11, and I would just like I would just like practice out there for fun. And I hadn't done that in so long. And a couple days ago, I was really feeling in the flow. And I was like, I have to play something. And I was like, what am I going to play? I don't even know. So I just like made something up. But yeah, it's a totally different feeling when you're just like playing or creating just to create, like not because you want someone to see it, not because you need it for acknowledgement or for a purpose. Like it's just pure, like, it's like breathing.
It's like breathing. And when you work in that harmony, that balance with the divine, that balance with universal intelligence, it just comes natural as breathing.
Yes.
No matter what you do in this world, it just comes as natural as breathing. Even every back to music is ministering, every different note is connected to a chakra system.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and every timbre of musical instruments. So like woodwind instruments, for example, brass instruments, string instruments, choral, like all of it, percussion, it all has a different, it's all related to a different chakra.
And that's why as an orchestra conductor, I love the conductor because you're conducting the entire thing. You're making sure that, like you said earlier, if one gets too loud, you know, the other ones, there needs to be some kind of flow.
Mm-hmm. It's sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know, it's like professional. And okay, so conducting is really interesting because like you're not even like, if you're a good conductor, you realize that you're actually a facilitator. And like, and actually it's like you're a conduit. Like,
Okay.
like there's an energy ball. Okay, so let's say you're sitting in front of an orchestra. There's an energy ball like about chest level right in front of you, where if you put your baton into it, you actually, like, you're in the energy of the whole sound of the whole ensemble. And it's really fascinating because the second you think that you're the one who's supposed to control everything, like, you lost the connection. It's, yeah, it's it's very like you receive, like when you have to receive what the ensemble is playing. And yeah, like there's work that goes into it ahead of time where, you know, you go in and, like, I guess what you help to provide is you have so I guess you have like the overall roadmap kind of in your head and in front of you on the music sheets. But like you're the road, I guess, but like you're not in control of the cars, right? You just have to provide, like, it's your job to provide like a freeway from like San Diego to Vegas. Yeah. You know, you have to be like, oh, you know, there's this really cool stop in Barstow. Let's like hang out over there for a while, or like we need to go stop off at Eddie's World and get one of those like crazy shakes. Like we gotta do that. And then like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to slow down here a little bit because we're going on this, like, you know, the super windy, windy part. And like, we gotta keep that relaxed and flowing. And then, oh, we're over the hump. Here we go. Like we're going toward the strip. Like I can see the lights, you know, and then it's like, you're there, you know. Anyway, I don't know what that was. That was new.
Well, when you conduct, you can see the energy working through you, yeah, rather than you working the energy. I've watched me and Brian Jackson. Hi, Brian Jackson, if you're watching.
Oh yeah, because you were there.
Went to your guys' what was it called? You came
to our winter concert.
Yeah, the concert.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I even told Brian Jackson, I go, look at Miss Miller, she's so cute. Look at that lesbian right there. Too bad she's not a boy.
Oh, Jack. Oh, Jack.
No, but seriously, watching you, because I know Pam Miller, and I've worked with I've sat down with the psychic Pam Miller in Psychic Circle. And I know the great gal who loves to serve in the kitchen. I can't say that I knew who Pam Miller, the orchestra conductor, was, or even
yes, and
entity in itself.
And just so you know, Pam Miller, the orchestra conductor, has a few different nicknames.
Okay.
Okay.
Which are?
The most commonly used one is Lil Mills.
What?
Lil Mills.
Mills?
Yeah, little Mills.
Mills.
Yeah.
Little Mills. Okay. Why Little Mills?
It came out. The class of 8th graders that I have right now gave me all of these nicknames last year out of love. So I got Lil Mills. I got Coach. I got Mother Miller. This was the weirdest one. You know, they're middle schoolers, so they're like super crazy. The weirdest one was Mother Miller. I was like, what the hell? I spend a lot of my time on the podium like this. Because they say these things that are too funny.
The middle school kids, I love the age of the middle school kids because they're not grammar school.
Yeah.
We have to, nurture them that much. I shouldn't say nurture, but they're not in grammar school and they're not in high school where you have to cuss them out yet. They're
True.
right in the middle where you can be like, motherfucker, don't fuck with me. Don't try.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And they'll get it and not use it against you, But also, when I was teaching middle school, we had...
What did you teach?
I was only a sub.
Okay.
I got sent all over the place
yeah.
to do the middle school. But I love the middle school kids because they would always tell me, you know what I think? Mr. Jack, I think deep down inside you is a big Black woman just screaming to get out. Oh. And the Black woman would show up every now and then. And still till this day, the Black woman shows up every now and then. A lot stronger, a lot more powerful. But it is something. Back to that, it gets its own name. That's a Little Mills. I saw Little Mills come through, with you. And that's just wonderful to watch with anybody who has their own craft or their own style or their own just way of working with source.
Mm-hmm.
Like Reverend Lorena, for example. She turns on and she's a whole different person.
Mm-hmm.
When I turn on Facebook Live, I'm a whole different person than I am when I'm not on Facebook Live.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is really interesting to be able to see the different parts of people and to see them in their element where they are giving the most frequency of love out. That
they're giving the most frequency of love out. Even Janet Jackson talks about just being the vessel to give that unconditional love. That love is powerful.
Yeah.
That love can be seen on a stage. It can be heard in the most loudest of places, and yet also be so soft in the quietest. Does that make sense?
Totally. Sorry, I keep looking behind me because I'm hearing this rustling in the bushes.
Oh, girl, you got the Lion King back there?
Yeah, actually. I've seen a skunk a few times.
You have Over the Hedge.
Oh my God, that's the skunk. It's the skunk.
Oh, really?
It's the skunk right now.
Well, we can't see the skunk in the picture.
Holy shit. I don't want to get too close to it because I don't want it to
no.
skunk me. Oh my God, I can't believe it's making an appearance. I was wondering if that would happen. And now I know where it comes from because I just see it on my porch eating cat food. But it comes from back there. It comes from back behind this tree.
Yeah, over the hedge. You got Over the Hedge over there.
That's so funny. By the way, I wanted to tell you about my backyard real quick because so talking about this frequency of unconditional love and all that stuff, I just bought this house.
Congratulations, by the way.
And everyone around me is like, well, how are you gonna pay the mortgage? What are you gonna do? It's a pretty it's a lot of money for some people's minds, and for some people's salaries, including my own currently. But everyone's like, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to even manage that? And I was like, well, for a while I was thinking about getting a roommate. And then I thought, no, like, that's not how I'm supposed to be of service to people. Like, like the feeling that I get when I think about having a roommate is not light. Like, it's not community. And like, I don't really want that. And, but what I do want is to like turn this space into like a community area. Like I have a huge backyard. I'm on a 7,100 square foot lot. And yeah, and there's like an open room and a half inside. There's this whole backyard that I'm like, it's already beautiful. There's rose bushes everywhere. There's trees. There's like grass and greenery. And like this is the perfect space, I feel, for people to come and do little like private meditation circles or ceremonies. Like it's like, you know how people sometimes go to Balboa Park and they'll like do stuff there? This is like a place where they could feel like they're in that kind of environment, but it actually is private and no one will be watching them.
They can do it nude.
Yeah. I mean, if they wanted. Yeah, I actually came out here without a shirt on this morning. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna call my mom. And she was like, Pam, this is definitely the most disturbing part of quarantine so far. And I was like, it's like, why? If I was a guy, if I was my brother, if I was a guy, who cares? Like, who the fuck cares anymore?
Girl, I'm a guy and I only want to take off my own shirt and see my own boobs.
All right? You know, and that's a whole nother topic that we can go into. But
not today.
Not today. But yeah, so this is a space that I'd really love to turn into a place where people add to that frequency of love, and then this whole house could become like a vortex of like love.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Pam Miller opening up the Vortex of Love, coming soon.
At 3011. I'm not going to tell you the street name yet.
Don't you dare put your address on here. Just because they're my followers do not mean you can trust them. There are still some shady people on Facebook and YouTube. Loving, not stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt. Be loving, that's not stupid. LoveJustJack.com.
Yes.
Right, it's getting dark now.
It is.
I cannot wait to go to your new home. And
yeah.
Bless that place. You know, Teresa Caputo actually said, a house is just 4 walls and a door. It's the people inside that make it a home.
Yes.
I can't wait to go hang out with you in your home. Have you?
I know. Me too. And by the way, if anyone wants to find me on Instagram, I am at True Blue Psychic Tarot, and all of those things are separated by underscores. So true_blue_psychic_tarot. And we'll
put all of her social media in the description box.
Awesome. Yeah.
So make sure you, well, let's do the plug now. Make sure you follow me and Miss Pam Miller. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms. Anything you want to promote on this special, Miss Miller?
Well, I guess I'll just say, I will say that on my Instagram, I have been just like putting anything that has that frequency of unconditional love, so that when you go there, it really like hits you and like uplifts you. So I have that, and I also have my Facebook page, Pam Psychic Services. And I
right now.
That's on Facebook. And I do readings, I do private readings, I do group readings, and I'm also making meditations and doing some chakra healings.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So get with Miss Miller if you want any of that. We actually have a $1 offer that we're promoting right now. So if business owner in the online space, it's a skunk bat. Make sure you click that $1 offer down there. Oh, no. Can't be doing no over the hedge with the skunks and squirrels and raccoons and bats. Ooh. There was a big old coyote that came in my backyard the other day.
My favorite part of buying this house by the way, is
Rodents.
no, it was the it was this tree behind me, but also the description of the noise. Like they have to disclose if there's any noise around the area. And it was like rooster far in the distance. And I was like, great. Sounds beautiful.
Rooster crows. A cock first thing in the morning. That's all I need.
Ah. Oh.
All right, Miss Miller. We are out of here. Thank you so much for coming and joining us on the live today.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me, and I will talk to you soon.
Yes, lots of love to you, my friend. Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
Right, let's end this broadcast for both of us. Oh, wait, do we end